I am here to review another replay by one Raveru. On Reddit, he was RavelXD. So this game is at about 3.6k MMR average, and he is a 2.8k player in this match. So we're going to take a look at the game and see how well he did, and see if there's any things that we can do better. I think, personally, I feel like you might have just been fucked from the start, because you were playing against a 5-stack, and that's always miserable. I feel like, of the probably 40 or so games that I've played against 5-stacks in the past, like, month and a half, I've won less than a third of those games. But if I play in a 5-stack, I win it almost every time. I really don't like how they're matched up, but it's probably Redditors bitching about queue times. Cool. So, starting items look good. Looks like you might have had it by the courier. I don't know how to add that fast. Salve, Tango, Branch, Clarity. Not bad. Let's see where you place your first words. Personally, I would have grabbed a Smoke and another Clarity instead of the 2 Iron Branches, because I feel like the Iron Branches are just kind of weak. They don't offer you a whole lot, and I'd just rather have the Smoke without having to use the Courier, especially if you're going to be ganking mid, which you should do versus Amber Spirit. Well, I don't actually know who they're sending mid yet. This is more useful in 4 minutes when they're going to be trying to kill your safe laner, and even then I would rather put this ward here. Looks like the other ward is mid. I would not give wards to the mid. I personally don't like it if I'm playing mid and a support gives me a ward. It's a designation of responsibility that I feel is unnecessary. When I start, I usually just walk mid, walk up here, and then place the ward in this spot. That way the enemy tower cannot actually see that you're placing here. This is like at the edge of the vision range for the tower. And in addition to this, you should be making the calls on where the wards go, unless your core specifically requests a place. I wish you had a lane ward bottom. It would help you win this lane a lot harder. Looks like it's a solo Phantom Assassin off lane. In this case, if you were going to go for that kill, which I think you should have because you had nothing else to do, I think you should have hidden here, waited, hoped that your Sven got a good block off, and then you open up with Shackles and then Punch just starts to rot. I think that could have been a great kill. Be highly cognizant of vision. You can get very close to somebody without them being able to see you. Okay. For the ranged camps, you have to pull it slightly sooner. Like 54 is a good timing for this camp because it lets you catch all types of creeps in this camp. So that didn't stack. You still have another option, however, which is to pull this at 12 and then pull it to lane and then connect this. This is actually better than pulling the hard camp because you are going to get more XP from the neutrals. Practice this in a lobby. I was pretty bad at this until I did a lot of practicing. Looks like the PA fucked up, however. Good that you were there. You could be like level 2.5 by now if you had done these pulls right. And this is always frustrating, like when you get away from a kill and then you realize, oh shit, I missed the pull by like 10 seconds. And in that case, you should have gone back mid. As soon as you grab the haster and start going bot, you also had these guys starting to go on your Death Prophet at the same time. Now you're stacking more camps. With this Sven on your team, I don't mind this as much, but I think you should be prioritizing your own experience rather than the creep kills that Sven will get in 10 minutes, because he's only really going to start killing those camps a bit later. Whereas right now you want levels now so you can get more levels in Shackles, because if Ember gets away, it's real bad. I guess you don't really need to have levels in Shackles because you have a Death Prophet plus Hex, but killing him is going to be hard for certain. Yeah, I'd say max Aethershock actually. Looks like you're going to stack this again. Think about it. Sven wants to farm some camps so that he can get core items so he can farm bigger camps. So I would in fact be stacking this guy, because this is a medium camp and it's relatively easy. This one, the timing is 55. I'd just rather that you be pulling or stacking easier camps right now. Right now, you should... Yeah, you don't have to follow it forward. You can actually just walk away at 53. Like, hit it and walk away. Now you're not doing a whole lot. Okay. Yep, that happens. Be prepared to eat enemy sentries with your tangos, or the enemy Riki will eat it faster than you. Yep. Gotta make sure he's not there first. You can just wait for him to show elsewhere. Looks like you're about to stack again. Sven's doing well, so this is not terrible. I do think you should be pulling, because you could be denying a lot of XP to the Phantom Assassin. She could be like level 4.5 right now if you'd been pulling a lot more. Wow. Looks like somebody's at a LAN party. Wow, if all these guys, this is hilarious. This is the time to kill that sentry ward. Wow. Oh my god, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I think if you'd been at this fight bottom, you would have been a lot more productive. If you'd been pulling, like I said, you would have been nearer to the lane. One thing about stacking camps is that you're distant from people if shit ever goes down. You also don't have a TP scroll in your inventory. I think you should have stick. It looks like you're getting wand. I think you should have at least stick and raindrops. And that'll give you a lot of mana regen that you're going to want to have, because no one else on your team... Well, Tidehunter's going to have arcanes, but no one else on your team can give you mana. So you're going to need to get a lot of it yourself. You're doing a lot of pacing and waiting. Of like, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to follow my cores around. This is the time, the first 10 minutes, first 15 minutes are where you're supposed to be productive. And doing a lot of stuff. Good kill. You maybe, you maybe didn't need to shackle the Luna. She was dead. You could have Aethershocked her, and that does enough. See, now you're taking the tomes because you're under level because you weren't pulling. Okay. I don't really mind maxing shackles first because it does a lot of damage. People forget this, but like it does damage over time. And it's not at all insignificant how much damage it does. Aethershock is just a bit better for farming. You can stack and clear things with it, but your Sven is... Well, I guess your Sven's going to take this. I would not stack this a fourth time. This is going to be hell to take. He's going to need to use a lot of stuff. I don't even think that's stacked. Yeah, so you can't even take this. I like that you absorb the XP from it. It's totally fine. Riki's just soaking levels. When you know somebody on your team is jungling and you are a support, casual sentries in the jungle can go a long way. I'm pretty sure Sven can just pop the Riki if he walks into vision range, and the Sven is able to stun him fast. Okay. I think, honestly, the correct thing to do is to stay in lane. Well, not now, because it's like 14 minutes, but for the first 10 minutes, stay in lane, pull, and go for kill attempts on the PA when you can. And then when that starts to get weak and people can get away, or say PA gets her crit, that's when you fall back to jungle and start stacking. Because that Sven didn't take this camp until minute 12. And I just feel like you could have been better off trying to roam around and get kills, especially on like Ember Spirit, because Death Prophet is pretty threatening once you have Spirit Siphon and Silence up. Probably just farming where it's a bit dangerous to be, but maybe he couldn't have avoided that death because that was a lot of farm going to waste anyway. Okay, I like that you have Windlace. This is a good casual pickup. I also like that you have Wand, but you perhaps might only need Stick this game. Well, there's a PA. She does cast a lot of daggers. If you're tight on money, oftentimes the first thing that I cheap out on is I don't upgrade to Wand. Almost always get a stick. I can think of no enemy lineup where I don't get a stick, at least. It's just so cheap and it's so much regen. Okay. You're doing a lot of this pacing. I like that you're solving your pacing like, you obviously know that you should be doing things, so you stack, right? But I think you should learn how to gank mid. Like, at minute 5, with level 2 Shackles, Hex, and Aethershock, you could have smoked behind the tier 1 tower, moved around here, and then killed the Ember Spirit, right? Even before he had Remnant, or when he had... I think you can actually stun and silence lock him, possibly, because you have 1.25 seconds of Hex. At that time, you had 2.75 in Shackles, maybe 3.5. So that's already 4 seconds of stun lock, right? And Crypt Swarm happens every 5 seconds, and it was probably like 225 damage. And then she silences, and then the whole time she's Spirit Siphoning, right? Like, that's a lot of damage, and it's a lot of lockdown. Ember Spirit normally can get away from shit. Like, if I try to gank mid as some hero other than Shadow Shaman, I'm suffering. If it's an Ember Spirit, but not in this case. You're one of the few heroes that can actually do it, so you should absolutely try to punish the Ember. Also, right now, look at your mana. This would be like up to here if you had raindrops and had it for like the past 3 minutes. They're really good, maybe even full, to be honest. And right now, you're coming in for a kill, and you are suffering from having low movement speed and low mana. Well, you just got Arcanes. Alright. Well, they're chasing people. I like that you're farming this, but you shouldn't be missing last hits. You'd have 260 gold right now if you hadn't missed those two. Last hits add up, and you shouldn't just auto attack a wave. Like, a lot of people say, oh, it's past the laning phase, I will just auto attack a wave. That's not necessarily how you need to be thinking of things. Unless you really need to push that wave, go for every last hit, even if you're playing support. If there's farm available, you should take it if you're playing support. Too many people say, oh, I'm a support, how dare I take last hits? But if it's an empty wave, fuck it, you need your blink, right? You need your force staff. I also like that you're going force staff first, Blink is very good on Shadow Shaman, but this solves the problem as well. In addition to the fact that it helps you deal with the Reiki Cloud, because you can actually just get out of it and hex him. The other option that's very good is Ghost Scepter, because it makes PA not able to hit you. Even with Stifling Dagger, it doesn't do anything. And it makes Sleight of Fist not do anything. That was unfortunate. I think arguably Ghost Scepter was the call, because your team can back you up so long as you stay alive for just a tiny bit longer. And if you Ghost Scepter and walk out of the Reiki Cloud, it doesn't matter if you're not facing him, because he can't hit you. And Reiki illusions are really strong. Or invis. Okay. Okay, looks like your Sven is getting pretty fat. He almost has BKB Blink Mask of Madness. Okay, so look here. You are still walking towards this because your Sven is walking towards this. Do not go in. This is suicide. There's a Riki here. There is an Ember Spirit here. And Earthshaker, right? This is a huge threat, and even if they use a lot of their spells, they can still kill you. In addition to this, you and Ember Spirit are coming at this from different directions. Okay, good. Good. It would be another thing if you two were in the same spot so you can immediately back each other up, say if somebody gets gone on the other stuns. But now, when you're coming at it from different directions, it's just more likely that each of you will die independently. Looks like Ember Spirit is going the damage build. Kind of interesting. Okay. You could maybe take those last hits, because probably not. As we can see, there's still threats. Good hex. Good hex. So say you were to choose to get a blink instead of Force Staff. The correct way to play that is to stand by your team almost the whole time. So that way, if Riki goes on you, you get help from Pudge or Death Prophet. But now that you have a Force Staff, you can go do more of your own things, like go off on solo warding things, because it's less likely that Riki will be able to kill you. I still would not wander more than like a screen length and a half away from your team, however. Supports need to play with your team quite heavily. Wow, good. Good stuff. This is risky, and you should immediately hide in the trees. Good. Good. That was great. That was great. Your KDA is 017. I think you should have more assists. I think you should have done more stuff in the first, like, 12 minutes. But this is good. This is fine, right? I would be satisfied with this play if this were me, right? It's just minor stuff like where to ward and how to approach fights and how much you need to be ganking during the early game. So let me actually talk about this for a second before this fight. So when you're playing a support like Shadow Shaman that is very, very good at killing people early, like once you have Shackles and Hex, you have a lot of lockdown, right? Which means you can kill almost any enemy mid so long as you get the help of your mid. So you need to look at mids and say like, okay, how easy is this guy going to be to kill? And when you're playing Shadow Shaman, the answer is almost always very easy. For instance, if you're playing against a Viper, that's probably going to be the hardest kill that you can get. You'll probably die if he has ult up, but you can probably kill him if you have a mid who has kill potential. So, I'm trying to think of a low kill potential mid. you can almost kill anybody. But with certain people, you need to approach it more carefully. Like with Razor, you always shackle first, because when you hex, his unstable current will zap you and slow you, and might make it more difficult to get the shackle in. Because the range on shackles is lower, so if you hex your max range and then you are slowed, he can actually move a little bit faster than you, and then it might make it more difficult to get the shackles in on like a Razor. So you just need to think about really specific shit like that. And then, wow, what a hook. Yeah, you didn't need to waste your mana there. That's another way to conserve mana and make sure that you're always basically topped off. Because when you have high mana spells, you need to think carefully before using them. That's the problem that Bane has as well. Yeah, you can kill almost any enemy mid with that much lockdown. Like, even if your mid doesn't output a lot of burst damage, like say you have a Necro mid on your team, because you have so much lockdown, he still gets 2 Death Pulses in, you get an Aether Shock in, and then you get Reaper Scythe. Right? And then he's dead. You don't even need a high damage outputter to kill somebody if you have that much damage. This is a mistake. Looks like your team's nearby, so you're gonna live. Wow, look at that max range shackle. Oh man. Now is where you need to have dust, because that guy might have been able to get away if your team had had less people there. I think you do need to be carrying dust this game in addition to sentries. It's gonna suck, but you kind of have to do it. Worst case Ontario, you ask Pudge to help you a bit with wards, and he might say "fuck you, puta," but still. This did kind of expose you, and while there are 2 heroes dead, Shadow Shaman is slow and he is weak, and I feel like you just need to stick with your team. Unless your team is going suicidal, in which case you should just chill. Okay. Mana, then. Great. Looks like you have enough for Force Staff. Okay, do not go in here. Oh wait, no, they have people dead. You're actually fine. And now the situation changes because they're all up. This is something that's hard to do, but you need to do if you want to be a good Dota player. You need to constantly evaluate your own strength versus the enemy team's strength. And it might be that the correct evaluation is, wow, we are stronger than the enemy team. But then you take a bad fight because somebody misuses their skills. But generally, your strength as you predict it will line up with your likelihood of winning the fight. So after you guys kill 2 of them, you need to look at what spells you have off cooldown and how much mana everybody has. And that's how you evaluate whether you're going to win the next fight. I don't like this. Like, they have a lot of burst damage, right? So they can kill the waves really fast. They just glaives, they just Ember Spirit, Sleight of Fist, because this guy has a fucking Battle Fury. I don't think you can take high ground right now. I don't think you should be even trying. I think you should literally just leave and then go farm, go do other shit. They have a team that scales well into the late game, so you are correct in that you are kind of on the timer, but you also have a great pushing lineup and a great lineup for team fights. Alright. Rip. Good wards. Have them target heroes until the fight is won. You're using a lot of shackles on people who are about to die. Just use Ether Shock and then use shackles on somebody else. And that's why you need to have your finished Force Staff. To be honest, I don't even know how you got the staff. Did you send yourself only a Staff of Wizardry? Wow. If you'd sent yourself the full Force Staff, I think you would have lived there. Because then you could just Force Staff out. Okie dokie. Okay. Looks like they're angling to take a bunch of shit. Yeah, you have the money for Force Staff. I don't know why you're not buying it. There's probably going to be a couple other situations where you would live. People are stacking their disables. That guy's gonna get out because you and your allies are stacking disables. Like, you used Shackles when Hex was like halfway done. Hex now lasts a really long time. It lasts like 3.5 seconds. Just let it go, right? There was an Earthshaker Fisher, however, so that does change things. We have a blink on this guy, and Death Prophet has such high movement speed she can just move around because there's a gap like right here. Yeah, people are alone. This is how pubs lose advantages, because you guys had a big, like, let's just take a look at the net worth graph. Yeah, you guys had a pretty big advantage, and then now you're losing it. This is a very even game, however. It's because people are just letting themselves get picked off. And now Death Prophet's dead. Why take Roche now? Yeah, there's a double damage, and you guys are going to take it really fast. You also know they're nearby. I don't think they're going to be able to because I can see the enemy side of the map, but like, look at the vision you guys have. Where are they? Clearly somewhat near. This guy can totally blink in and try and take it. And they're dewarding the shit out of you. When they're doing that stuff, you just have to take unconventional word spots. You really need your Force Staff, dude. Then immediately afterwards you need to get Ghost Scepter. And this Pudge is gonna die, because they're pushing bottom. So let's pretend that you're playing Pudge. You see nobody's on the map, and they didn't try to contest Roshan. Where are they likely? Probably pushing a lane. If you'd had Force Staff there, you would have lived. Don't go where they... Don't go places that might be dangerous when they can't see, or when you can't see them, right? Now your team's just getting fucked. Yeah, just solo pickoffs. You guys never fought a 5v5 in the past like 10 minutes. It's always been like 3v5s and 4v5s, and now it's just being a disaster. It's a disaster. Yeah, and this is just, you're just gonna lose now. And you really shouldn't, because you guys have had a crazy advantage. You guys won lanes. You got Sven super fat. If you're the support and you're shot calling, make sure that you're telling people don't go out alone, and stay coordinated. Keeping people like all in relatively the same spot can be really strong. Hex. And then wait, and then shackle. Alright. So both Dismember and Shackles do damage, so this isn't so bad, right? I realize you cast Shackles right as he dismembered, but I think you could have. I think that's more okay because it does damage, and once you cast it, it goes on cooldown. It's not like you can cancel it and get it to be back online faster. In that case, I would just let it go, which I think is what you did, but still. All right. So. Okay. One of Shadow Shaman's weaknesses is that he has no way to get vision of high ground. So this is probably the best sentry that you're going to get, but if you're playing, say, Disruptor, place the sentry like here. That way you can catch the high ground, and then you place Kinetic Field so that it lines up. It gives you vision of this pillar. That's pretty strong. Same thing with like Crystal Maiden's Frost Blast or Jakiro's Ice Path. These abilities all give vision for a reason, and it's very useful. Well, it looks like they're pushing. I'm curious as to what your team will choose to do. This Sven is probably dead because they have such good Blink Initiate. Yep. People going off alone. And then that was a great Rupture, or Ravage. And then nothing's going to happen. What is going on there? And now Sven's dead. And he doesn't have money for buyback. Well, I guess he used it. Yep. Like, this fight's probably fine. I think if you had a Sven alive, you would have won. Right? You just need to be the person calling shots and saying, look, let's all stay together. Let's not get picked off alone. Because that's really what's killing you. And also, you just got to make sure you get your items when you actually buy them. Because you had like a 5-minute period where you had 4 staff. Yeah, Ghost Scepter, great. It's just you're not getting your items when you need to actually get them. Because that could keep you alive. It's important for cores too. It's why you always see people get bottle like as fast as possible, because you want to get it before the rune timings, right? And same thing with 4 stuff. You want to get it before you need it. Well, I think it's pretty good. You just need to clean up your early game. I think it could be more useful. I think you could be. I think you should get raindrops more. I think you should possibly hold off on arcanes and just subsist on raindrops and other people's arcanes and stick. Because then this frees up more money for you to buy smoke and gank mid with it, or smoke and kill the PA in lane, right? And this could be very effective. But yeah, not too shabby, I think. You fight well, and your item choices are pretty good. Yep, just minor stuff. And now, like, going forward, I will advise you that probably the most important thing when you're playing a ganking support is that you should be aware of who can and cannot see you. Because when you are in the trees, there's no notification that says when the enemy can see you through the trees, right? You just have to, like, look at the gaps in the trees and think, huh, I wonder if they can see me through this. Like when you're trying to sneak around and juke people, you know? It's very difficult to play, but it's cool to have that knowledge. It's worth taking a look, like, in a lobby and just practicing stacking and pulling. Like, connecting the pulls as well. Like, pull the small camp and then drag the hard camp over as the small camp dies. It's difficult, but it gets you a lot of experience. A lot easier on Radiant than Dire. Holy shit. Definitely a big difference. Yes. Hope my comments are of some use, and good luck next.